Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's having a good day or night wherever they are in this beautiful planet Earth of ours. Almost done my coffee there. Let's get into a collective message for you. Now, always take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I'm not trying to fill anyone's ego or give anyone some psychosis here. So, if the whole reading doesn't resonate, but little parts of what I say does, like I said, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But we're going to get into probably some heavy topics, some heavy energy, because there is an eclipse coming up, and I just want to know what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. Hello. High Priestess. Oh, I'm speaking to some intuitive people out here. You are, I want to say, intuitive like no other. And you choose to be, but that's the key different from people who are just like kind of gifted with this intuition. You have uh, this sort of call. Like you are somebody that sits there and listens to the signs that you're given and you look into them very in depthly, and I feel like it's okay that you weren't someone that was like gifted with something, but when you were sort of called out to a certain intuitive pull or intuitive energy, you picked up the phone here. You said, I'm gonna pick up the phone no matter what. And I feel like on the flip side, this could also be like you're very intuitive about how you choose to love not only yourself, but like the world around you. Like when you are looking into certain things in the world, you're looking into them with a lot of love and grace. And I feel like this is a lot of like your intuitive pull, intuitive, even just like call from your spirit guides, kind of looking into, hey, you're meant for a lot more than just something that is of the quote unquote mundane. Um, and I feel like you have always felt this your entire life. Seven of Swords. You are now in an area of moving away from a lot of the toxic talk about yourself, whether this is people talking to you saying, oh, that stuff's not real, I don't believe in that. You're walking away from, and energetically walking away from these energies in the sense of like, that's okay if they don't believe it because I know what I'm being called towards. You've looked into this multiple times with whatever sort of divination that you do, whatever like signs that you've been asking. You've been like fact checking these signs that you've been receiving, because I feel like this intuitive call, intuitive pull is a choice whether we go to it or not. Sometimes our intuition will lead us to things and we sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm actually better with the 3 cups that are usually symbolized in the 4 of Cups, of like, there's 3 other cups that you'd rather stay with that and not move into this one whole cup of fulfillment here. Um, but you're not doing that anymore. You're actually pursuing things in a way that I feel like you have always seen them sort of internally and deep down to your core. And it's things that like I can't explain it, but this is just what I feel. And I'm getting the sense of like um on the outside it may seem like I'm getting the I did just watch this movie last night, but we watched one of the Conjuring movies, me and my boyfriend, and I feel like people look at you like Ed and Lorraine Warren. Like, I don't know what they see, but sometimes some of their stuff is a little too accurate for me to understand how they even got to that conclusion. And when you think of the like actual stories of Ed and Lorraine Warren, there are things that they've been able to discover that are very unexplainable. They can't explain it to the fullest extent, but it's also a lot of like, this is what they believe. This is the life that they followed because they were pulled into this intuitively. They were called to this line of work, and I feel like that's kind of the area and the message here for you. It's like you've been pulled and called to a line of work that may not necessarily be of the mundane. Um, and I think I was getting of the unseen eye, where it's like you don't even have to have a channel like this, like a tarot read channel, or like put your magical craft out online and teach people things or show people like this is what you do. Like your work and your line of work and your line of craft, I feel like is completely unseen. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like that's where you are very clear about your intentions and how you work. I feel like other people definitely can look at you and be like, oh, that person's a witch, don't mess with them. But it's like the people who really know you know that like you bring nothing but love and kindness and just, I want to say, reality to the table. You're not someone that's just going to sit there and say, oh, those signs are exactly what this is and this mundane thing is a sign for that. Like you're not going to tell everyone's life purpose when you see it just off of the first time meeting them. You're not going to tell them right away. It's like you understand that everything has its own path, everyone has their own path, and there are things that you're being called to in this sense of like, hey, you know, that's not necessarily for you to either obviously judge, because I feel like you're releasing a lot of judgment on yourself and the world around you. But there's a lot of things that you're understanding it's not your place to speak on. And you see how when there are people who are intuitive do speak on this, how manipulative and like not okay it is morally for you. In a lot of our spiritual practices, we do all have a code of ethics, a code of morals, but it's very personal to each practitioner. And I feel like when people really look at you and know you, they see that like you're not trying to hurt them. Like you're not gonna try and sit there and say, oh well, you're this and that and this is what you should be doing with your life instead of this and that. Like you are actively sitting there like, hey, like it's okay if you don't believe in this stuff. It's okay if you find it a little spooky, but I'm not here to try and scare you. This is just your religious practice, because any sort of spiritual practice and belief is a religious one at that. You constantly follow it almost every single day. And for a lot of us, I feel like you are following it in every single way, every single day that works for you. And I feel like a lot of this energy is just confirming things that you already know, but you are actually actively fulfilling a purpose that feels so at your core. And I think this is the part of like self-discovery here. And a lot of the Queen of Wands energy is like you hold this truth to you. Now I just hit my knee on my table on accident. You hold this truth to you that it's like it's okay if you don't fully understand the mystery of everything, because there's a famous little like line from one of my oracle decks that says like a true alchemist, well, it says alchemist in like the wording, a true alchemist knows that uh, facts will start to slip towards mystery, and soon when we look through the mystery starts to lead towards a fact. And this is kind of the area of science, and when they do experiments and having this like information of, okay, here's what we have information wise, this is what is going to be done in the experiment, let's do the experiment, here are our observations. And really being like almost mysteriously like stunned by the observations that you're like getting, but you're sitting there like, okay, like let's look into this, let's kind of like not necessarily fact check everything, but like look into every little detail and take note of every little detail, and then let's do this experiment again. Like you're not doing the same experiment, but you're doing it with the different information that you have now based on previous observations. And this is where I feel like you are someone that really combines a lot of science and spirituality. And I feel like that is part of the unseen eye that I'm getting. What that really means in a more like dumbed down like version is you're doing things that people don't really look into, people don't really combine this level of information, and the people that do tend to keep it to themselves. And it's a area of when people keep this information to themselves in a very spiritual way, or they keep it to a very niche group and community, it's because you know that this religious practice, the spiritual path, isn't for everyone to fully understand or really know about. Like Some people are just going to be their average blue collar, white collar worker that, you know, lives a good life or as best as they can, goes to work, comes home, takes care of their family, takes care of themselves. And it's just a like mundane lifestyle. You're not trying to put all of that onto people, which is a really, really kind thing. And I feel like if you are struggling with the, oh, but I need to like get this out of my head, I need to share this with somebody, either write it down in like a notebook and that way you can have it for like years to come, or find those niche communities, because I feel like you know where you can find a lot of those niche communities. And I keep looking at my sacred geometry like oracle deck book, like the book for the deck. And I feel like if any of you are in that realm of a lot of like science, math, especially sacred geometry, and a lot of like the science of sound and frequencies and stuff like that, I think you can find your group of people to express this to, because you have and hold a lot of mystery to you that I feel like, you know, isn't meant to just like stay in your head here. Knight of Wands. Interesting. Right after the Queen of Wands too. You feel very connected to this path. And I feel like if you are a little scared of like starting to like get the ground running on a lot of these things that you truly believe in and truly like choose to believe in based off of mysterious and unexplained events that have kind of transpired in your life, I feel like this energy of just going for it and seeing what happens and seeing what you can discover at the end of the road sort of like energy, there's so much more to discover than you'd ever thought there was to discover. King of Pentacles out here. This is a really, really strong energy of like, you just need to get moving on this information, whether it is continuously researching or even practicing the things that you've researched. There's a constant doing, constant practice, because the more that you practice, the more that you're going to be able to, hi ma'am, the more you're going to be able to really truly understand like all the different things that you are very curious about here. Ma'am, where'd she go? Ma'am, come here. I'll let you sit on my lap. I know you like it. Come on. There you go. Come on. Come on. There you go. There you go, ma'ams. This is my roommate's cat, Gigi. She likes to hang out when I read cards. She seems to always know when I'm reading cards and just loves hanging out. Do you have any messages for the peeps? I think you just want more scritches. That's all you want. Knight of Cups here. So there's also this very, very double message going on right now. And I feel like you really fully, truly understand something that really fulfills you. And I feel like a lot of this energy is understanding where you fit best, like where your energy sits best in the certain communities that you want to be a part of. Because I feel like when it comes to a lot of these spiritual things, you genuinely want to find community here. Six of Cups reversed, the Star. I think you want to find community, because I think you, with the Six of Cups and the Star coming out, you have explored certain communities before that haven't resonated to the core level of you. And I think a lot of you are going to go into things that combined a lot of science and spirituality. And I think you're already kind of looking into that. And I feel like there's a very, like, it's very hard to find these communities, but also you have to understand that when people have discovered these things, when combining science and spirituality, they've had to create their own communities, create their own social media forums and websites and stuff. So it may seem like there's this really outdated website, but people are still very active on it currently and in 2025, and it looks kind of outdated and old, but it's actually still actively used by certain people that are still really like committed to this level of discovery. And I feel like you are committed to this level of discovery within yourself and within your path, within the things that you've not only created and quote unquote manifested around you, but you have seen how much this level of discovery has enlightened you and really fulfilled you in a direction for your life that it's like, yeah, this may seem a little like unorthodox to some people, but the way that you are able to not only handle yourself and hold yourself to uh, these things that you want to like walk the talk and walk in your own beliefs, um it's provided you such a level of security in the sense of like, this is who you are, this is what you choose, who you choose to be, and what you choose to do your research on. It's like not every person who is gonna go to medical school is gonna go to be a doctor. Sometimes a lot of people just want to be a researcher and look into these things and sit in the realm and the aspect of like not only obviously self-discovery but discovery in general. Like I feel like I'm talking to a lot of people who really want to put meaning to certain things in these spiritual aspects and these spiritual topics, because I feel like a lot of what you want to do is research that's not necessarily done all the time. But that doesn't mean it's discredited what your research is, ma'am. As long as you are fulfilled by what you do, I feel like you don't really care what is true and what isn't. Four of Pentacles here reversed. I feel like you understand where to solidify yourself into certain belief systems and certain ways that you want to believe. Because as long as it's making you fulfilled and making you happy, I feel like you just don't really care. Like you are fulfilled by it. You understand everyone has their own way, their own purpose of like living in this life that I feel like is very unusually mundane but still unusually spiritual. I'm not really sure what that means for some of you. 10 of Cups reversed. I think this is the big message here. You are very like clear on like what fulfills you, but it's time to really like release this judgment upon yourself of like, oh well, this isn't real, or maybe I'm just like a crackpot that's just like a mad scientist looking into things that don't necessarily make sense. You're creating a lot of understanding about something, and I feel like if you keep along this path, that keeps you in this sort of like freeing perspective. You're gonna understand that you're able to release a lot more than just oh well, I'm not a mad scientist. You're able to release the fact that hey, like I can actually pursue this and actually make it my life's work. With all the other things that you want to do with your life, you can still live your life and look into these things. And that's where the Three of Swords has this sort of like uh double entendre in this card, with the Three of Swords kind of breaking through these little flowers here, because I feel like these flowers were false promises, false beliefs, false I want to say it's like a falsality that feels disingenuous, you know, like disingenuous to you and what you want to believe in. And I feel like you are very clear in what you want to believe in. You're very clear in, hey, I actually want to pursue this, whether it is just a mundane thing that you feel a little religious about and like want to treat in like a very spiritual way. Like you couldn't, you probably don't like, say for example, someone who's not really into the crystals and rocks or tarot cards doesn't really want to get them, but somewhat believes in how everything's alive, like Mother Nature keeps us alive and this whole planet is living and breathing while we're walking on it. If it's just the simple things like that that you're wanting to look into, keep to that. You don't have to look into every detailed thing and every single sort of methodology, mythology, spirituality, religion. Like, you are creating your own at this point, and it's something that has to be done where most people won't really look and won't really see, because this is the inner parts of your soul that are speaking. This is the thing that's actively expressing how you truly are on the inside. That's why the Three of Swords and the Devil out here is reversed, because the Devil reversed really is you breaking out of these patterns that feel like you have to stay in like these specific limitations, like, oh, I'm always going to be limited here, or there's this thing I can't fully control, when it's like you're accepting certain things you can and can't control and breaking free from the idea of just because I can't control something doesn't mean that limits me from my potential, and expressing your potential in more ways than just one, because obviously you want to express your potential for your ideas and your knowledge and the passionate knowledge that you have, but you don't need to limit yourself to just one thing or sort of one pattern of belief. Like, you don't have to just follow exactly what is in sort of I guess an easy example is like following exactly what's in a one single Bible. You could have a specific Bible that you look back to, and look back at like even the Psalms, different Psalms, looking into those that really keep you grounded to your core and keep you on track in life and make you feel free. Things that you believe in should not limit you in your life. Things that you believe in should liberate you in your life, to make you feel this level of freedom that isn't just an outwardly feeling and a thing that you're experiencing. It is the inner knowing that you are always free and have the freedom to do things that you choose to do in your choice of how you want to believe them through your own self discovery. You have that choice and that freedom to do that. That is the freeing feeling internally. And I feel like you've been experiencing that in your research. You've been experiencing that in the level that you want to like pursue different things in your life. You've been understanding, hey, I really like actually enjoy this aspect of my life, enjoy bringing certain things that are of the mundane into the spiritual, or of the spiritual into the mundane, whatever it may be. And I feel like I want to get some last minute sort of perspective on here. We'll do 2 oracle decks here. This is a very quick message, very to the point. We have the Hawk reversed, which I feel like not only are you being watched like a hawk, but it's almost like a spirit team is watching you like a hawk. Like, are you ready? Like, are they committed? Are they committed to unlocking all of the secrets about themselves? Because the golden egg here is really about like an inner knowing of yourself, which is really funny. It's almost, this symbol I think is the same symbol that is on the front of this deck, so, or the front of this book. So if you see underneath these cards that it shows, I believe the symbol that is etched into on that is the same one as what's on this book. So what's funny is I actually wanted to pull from the Sacred Geometry Oracle deck here in a second, but I feel like we need to get a couple more cards from this deck before we get into that. The golden egg really represents a lot of like inner knowing, like you and the beliefs and feelings you have at the core level is not just like golden in a way, but it's going to make you feel golden in a way where it makes you feel free and liberated. And there's a lot more to that card, but I feel like it doesn't really necessarily matter what the book says right now. It's kind of how I'm interpreting it that really truly matters. And I feel like that goes hand in hand with, you can read something by the book all you want, but if you don't move forward in the graceful understanding that you have experienced and what you feel, the Gazelle card coming in reverse, you won't ever fully understand what it is that your core self, the true you on the inside, is saying to you, like your highest self per se. That's just like another word for it. And the Gazelle card is also like, it's like someone who takes their time. I think you take your time because sometimes it takes a little bit of waiting for our eyes to adjust to the dark depths of our soul. The Firefly out here reversed. The only thing that's upright is the golden egg and the elk. And the elk card is very, very sacred in the sense of the it's the representation of the antlers and how they can grow to these huge, almost like masterful pieces of art when you see certain like antlers on an elk. And you're understanding like how old and how long an elk has been alive based off of like the antlers that you see. And I think these antlers are like your growth of knowledge. You've been growing a lot of this knowledge to the point where, like, yes, these are very, like, heavy antlers, but I'm hearing the word, like, God, the universe, wouldn't have given you all this knowledge. You wouldn't have discovered all of this knowledge if you couldn't have handled it. Because you are handling it in a way that it's discovering you to your core. It's discovering who you truly are and who you truly want to be. And this is where we're going to get into the sacred geometry cards. I think I'm just going to pull two. Two exactly. All right, here we go. The tree vessel and the Merkaba. We're going to actually read the book on this just because I want to make sure I'm reading certain things correctly. I'm actually getting a phone call. That was spam, but like, I think you're getting a spiritual phone call. Pick up the phone. Ooh, the tree vessel. The grace of trees and their ability to receive and record information is one of the concepts this card explores. Like the sacred architecture of cathedrals, the curved geometry of this card forms a window through which light and grace and universal wisdom stream. This light technology, quote unquote, it's technology, offers insights into multidimensional reality and realization of possibilities that may move you towards conscious evolution. This card invites you to enter sacred space and become a vessel. Clear your energy field of unwanted muddy intentions and open an unobstructed pathway to the beauty and expanded awareness that is being offered. Realize that there is information and light becoming available to receptive individuals in accord with divine intention for self and planetary healing, and to aid in our shift from duality consciousness into unity consciousness. While this book and the person who wrote this has their own beliefs, this is a very key example of how you're entering that sacred space to become a vessel for your own soul, understanding what needs to go, what needs to stay, and being very clear to yourself what needs to stay and go. And I feel like you talking to yourself and talking to a lot of not only talking to but looking into and talking to a lot of like people who have what feels like ancient wisdom, whether it is talking to the trees or talking to people who have a lot of knowledge in sort of certain research. I feel like this is going to be not only the gateway to you understanding your whole entire self, and even to the point where like you don't know everything and that's okay to not know everything. This is where the Merkaba comes in as like this, it's almost like a the best way I can describe it is like a shield of almost transportation. It's like a spiritual transportation sort of device, I want to say. Ma'am, you are getting in there. The Merkaba, the star tetrahedron. Okay, I want to find, because it talks about the like actual geometry of it, but I want to get to like the actual card. In choosing this card, you are connecting with the aspects of your being that stretch far beyond your everyday life and promise to put you in touch with your higher self and universal wisdom, that core you, on the deep inside part of you. You are becoming a seeker of intuitive knowledge. There's no small venture, and it may become a significant part of your life path. Sacred geometry is about shifting individual and planetary consciousness from duality consciousness to unity consciousness. Funny how that came out 2 times. Which is love, compassion, and heart connection. Feel this movement towards unity and honor this journey of expansion. You may wish to learn more about activating your Merkaba fields and experiencing the information firsthand. Select a qualified teacher and begin exploring expanded awareness and see where it may lead you. Be prepared for the adventure of a lifetime as you step into the outer limits of human potential. When this talks truly about this level of, like, this deep... Oh, sorry. That was probably pretty loud. This deep level of not healing, but like exploration in the soul and duality consciousness and unity consciousness. I see that meaning as like you're not seeing yourself as separate from other people. That duality, that separateness, while it exists, you're seeing yourself as a collective part of a whole. There's a big belief in a lot of spiritual like people that we are all one and part of the same sort of like source, and we are all from the same source, but we are actively different like individual souls inhabiting different like bodies and stuff like that. And I feel like you're seeing everything as one while still seeing also the duality of it. And I feel like you really love combining a lot of dualistic ideas, ideologies into these unity sort of ideologies where you're really collectively understanding these things. You're not trying to put like an exact label on stuff. It's more of like, hey, this is what I've explored in my own research. This is what I've wanted to explore. And I feel like you are getting to the point to actually almost reach out to a collective community that explores these topics in a grander sense than just talking about it from a, oh well, we're moving from duality consciousness into unity consciousness, and you're like, what the fuck does that even really mean, right? You're looking deeper into it, and that's where you gotta trust yourself to be this light in those dark parts. It's going to take time, because sometimes when we're actually actively looking at fireflies out in nature, we have to wait. There it is. There it is again. There it is. And it's seeing these little bits of information, these little bits of light that you are gaining, is almost these little bits of knowledge that you're gaining about these sort of things that you're researching. So I feel like you are actively looking into a lot of this as genuine, like scientific research. Do not stray from what you feel like is right and is for you and is collectively bringing you this level of abundant knowledge, because I feel like you are really ready to get the ground running on taking note and taking into account all the things that you've looked into and explored. And I feel like what's funny is while she left, that was the last thing I was going to say. So we're going to end that message there. Thank you for letting me read your cards. And if you want to purchase a reading from me, I do have readings available on my website. And I also, while they are one-on-one readings, if you just want a reading that is just recorded just like this, you can totally email me and we can work something out. But anyway, I'm just happy to be here and give you these messages. Thank you for letting me read your cards, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!